Today, I'm going to be reviewing this Saddleback briefcase. Out of all the requests that I get to review different sorts of leather items, particularly bags, I think Saddleback is probably the most requested. Not just online. Recently, I had a request online to do it, and but through the years, through emails, most of my customers have asked me questions, probably more than all the other brands out there. Is Saddleback. Usually, I would say most of the customers that have come to me through the years have come to me from Saddleback. Usually they own a Saddleback, and that's how they got introduced into briefcases or leather goods in general, and then they found their way to me, as opposed to the other brands like Louis Vuitton or Coach, which I've reviewed those bags as well. But I would say Saddleback is probably the most popular for my existing customers. That's how they find me, for whatever reasons. It seems like Saddleback, which is a great company. I love the brand that they have. I love their image. It's rustic. It's that Southern Texas style. It's a great image that they got. I've seen some of the videos that they do. I really like them, and they're a popular brand. Most people that get into leather craft, like good quality leather, they enter from finding Saddleback, then they just like the craft, I guess, and then they start to find different different companies and different individual makers like myself. I'm more of a traditional leather craftsman. I am a master leather craftsman, a briefcase maker, as opposed to a company. I am more the individual craftsman, unlike Saddleback, which is more of the brand. It's more of the company that you get. So it seems like most of my customers, at least from what I can gather through the years, through emails and talking to them, they'll find this. They like great leather, smells great. They like the craftsmanship. Then they want their other bag, or they want something a bit different. And then they'll find me or another maker. And they really start to get really authentic leather craft. Once you get to the individual craftsman, I think that's the most authentic leather craft you can get. But before that, Saddleback is a great intermediary, as opposed to the really mass-produced brands out there that you don't even know anything about them. I would say Saddleback would be between that mass production and the individual craftsman like myself. So I'm going to be reviewing this briefcase, only the briefcase, not the brand. Like I said, I like the brand, I like the image. I think they are a great brand. I think they take care of their customers. They do quality work. I've seen some videos that they have. They're even religious. I mean, a bit too religious for me, but for me, any religious is too religious, but that's besides the point. I think as a brand and a company and what they have, they're great. I'm not reviewing that. I'm reviewing specifically this briefcase. They call it a briefcase. I'm reviewing it as a briefcase maker. I've been doing this for a number of years. And I've studied the briefcase form, so I think I'm going to give you my impression of this briefcase on what they're building, the style, the aesthetics, the craftsmanship, the whole deal, the price, everything. I'm going to give you my impression because, like I said, through the years, a lot of my customers just want to know my thoughts on this. Is it worth it? Is the price worth it? Is their craftsmanship there from what they say it is? Of course, every brand is going to say they have great craftsmanship. Even I do. I think I am the best briefcase maker in the world, but what briefcase maker would not say that? So, or brand or company. So I'm sure they say the same thing. And sure, you could take one of my briefcases and review it, and I'm sure you'd have your little peculiarities on my style and aesthetics, and I get it all the time. You could read it in comments, and it's whatever. You take it with a grain of salt. This is my 2 cents. I'm not trying to sell you my briefcases as opposed to this. I don't think that we're in a different class of briefcase, definitely in a different price point. These briefcases seem like they start around $600–700. Mine don't start over $1,000, usually $2,000 to $3,000 is my average briefcase, but I do a different thing. Mine are handmade and it's hand stitched a lot. My briefcases, for me, it's like making a painting, as opposed to this. It's not on the factory floor. I make my briefcases, here at home. So it's a different thing. So I'm not trying to, this customer who is into this bag, if he's getting my briefcase, it's an upgrade. It's because they need something more refined, or maybe, they're a lawyer or a doctor, they got a few more dollars to spend, and they want something a bit more refined, let's say, a bit better quality, which that is a tricky thing. So I'm not going to say quality. I would say a bit more refined. They would go to a briefcase like mine, like my styles, right? So like I said, I'm not here for that. I don't care if you buy mine. I don't mass produce mine. Mine I'll build. It's more of a labor of love. I don't just, this is not my current source of, primary source of income. So that's not why I'm doing this video. I'm doing it to honestly give my impression, because I do honestly get asked that a lot, what I think about this stuff. And sometimes I give my opinion, sometimes I don't. Today I'm going to give you my full opinion on this briefcase from Saddleback, specifically this, like I said. So I'm going to take the camera in a bit. I'll get into some close-up shots. We'll get into the parts, the leather itself, the whole thing. I haven't done much research on this. I don't know what other people are really saying. I've seen videos on YouTube here and there through the years. So it's not like I have notes. I don't have any notes. I just got this briefcase and I'm literally looking at it for the first time ever. So I'm giving you my honest gut opinions from a briefcase maker. I've been making this stuff. I've dealt with leather like this and parts like this and styles like this. So I'm giving you that impression. If you want to buy something like this and you just want to understand what really goes into it and make an informed decision, I can tell you one thing now. Saddleback, it seems like this is their style, and that's great. I respect them a lot for this. And I see knockoffs of this style. If you're going to go with this style, you go with Saddleback. Do not go with those knockoffs. Don't go with knockoffs on anything, because as an original style maker, people knock off my styles as well, and that's one of the things that gets any artist out there is the copies. So if you're going to go with this style, and there's a knockoff, maybe half the price or a couple $100 less, do not go with those knockoffs. The knockoffs don't have the experience as the original maker has with this style. There are small little things that the original maker of that style handles, where you get these knockoffs and they'll charge half price, but they are leaving certain things aside where their experience is not giving them the knowledge to build that briefcase or bag or whatever as the original maker of that style. So that's what I'm going to say. If this gets you, and a lot of times it's really about, do you fall in love with the piece? If you fell in love with it and it's a bit too pricey for you and you see a knockoff, do not go for those knockoffs. Don't even respect knockoffs. You don't want to carry a fake knockoff, or even something that's sort of similar. So I could tell you, it seems like, from what I can understand, this style is Saddleback's original style. I've seen knockoffs, but I've never seen them before they started putting this style out. So for that, they get much respect for that. Now, I'm getting into the review, and that's probably where it ends on that, because I'm judging this as a briefcase maker. All right, so let's get into it. This is chromium tan leather. I don't particularly like chromium tan leather. I think it's too rustic, it's too soft, and it's too cheap. I like to use veg tan leather. It's a higher quality, and it's more refined. When you have a veg tan leather, it's definitely much more smoother. And to me, most of my customers are lawyers and doctors. They want something more refined. I don't see them carrying something like this. At least the ones that know, that eventually get to the point. I have lots of lawyers that come into it and they'll buy this and they realize in a suit, this just does not go right in a suit. So they need something more refined, and they could go to Coach or Louis Vuitton. But if they find an individual maker like myself, they'll get something like this. And this is what I make. I'll make it at a veg tan. Veg tan leather, specifically bridal, English bridal leather. But still, it's veg tan. It's just a different way to tan it. I'm not going to get into that stuff. I've done that, and there's a million videos that get into the differences. But with chromium tan leather, it's softer and much more rugged, and it scratches a lot, and it's just a cheap leather. This, I have a sample chromium tan leather right here that I don't use. But if you, and I'll get a close-up soon, if you could see, you'll see it's a lot more marks and bite marks and stretch marks, and it wears much more rugged than the veg tan, specifically the bridal leather. It just wears more through the years, and I don't think that's good. I mean, if you're carrying a briefcase, most people that carry briefcases are professionals. If you're not a professional, you're not carrying a briefcase, or you're doing it part-time, or you're a school kid, or whatever. I look at this briefcase and I try to figure out who would carry this thing. A part-time kid maybe in college, yeah, it's cool, it's rustic, it scratches up, it beats up, yeah, it's fine. Put it on your back as a show on your bike. I don't see a lawyer, a doctor, a professional that's wearing a suit carry this. It's too rugged. And when the wear starts coming in, this wear is like, and it's cool. I love the wear. That's one good quality about chromium tan leather. It fades and wears out really good, like an old pair of jeans. But if you're a lawyer or a doctor, I don't see you wearing a suit and even jeans. Just being in a professional setting and something like this, it looks too outdoorsy. So then I think, is it for the outdoorsy type? Maybe that's what you need to be, rugged, and you're a hunter and you're going and hunting ducks or moose or whatever the hell you're hunting, and you need something to carry that's really rugged and it should be out there. And I think, yeah, I think it'll look good as that old classic hunter style. But, this thing weighs 10 pounds empty, almost 10 pounds empty. I don't see, and if it gets water on it, if it gets water in it, it's going to be heavier. I don't see this being an outdoor thing. I don't see anyone practically carrying this outdoors. So in a professional setting, in a business setting, this style with this type of leather specifically, and even the style in general with all the metal and just the bigness of it, I don't see it in a professional setting. I don't see it in an outdoor setting, which I guess I do see it. I don't see the practicality of it. And maybe I see it in a college campus. But then you get to the point, the $600, $700, $800 price point for a college kid. It's a lot of money for a kid, for $700, $800 for a bag. That, I don't know if that's practical. But whatever, wherever it's practical. And whatever it's used for. I'm talking about the aesthetics. And I just don't see it. I don't see who would carry this and why. And I know there's lots of people carrying it. But once you buy it, you got to carry it, right? You're not going to take it back. So you're going to live with it and you're going to make it work. But all right, so that's that on just the general aesthetics of this type of leather. It's a bit too rugged. I prefer a more refined veg tan leather and just a more refined bag in general, a style. So now I'm going to start getting close up on this and talking about the inside and all of that. All right, to begin with, let's see, where am I going to start with this briefcase? All right, so this chromium tan leather in the inside is rough. So if you're not going to line it, this will start to pelt, right? And they do line it. I just want to show you the difference between that and with veg tan. The inside, even if it's unlined, it's really smooth because it's got a whole lot more waxes in it. And as the waxes melt, it really smooths the inside. So you can get away with not lining it. All right, so So this style, you have the traditional, you know, straps on the side, and I do that a lot. It's a traditional schoolboy English style look, and that's great. That is a cool style. Practically, it doesn't work because you got 3 buckles. You don't need 3 buckles, and you either don't need the center or you don't need the outside. To have 3 buckles is kind of it's just pure aesthetics and pure how it looks. This is why this bag, when it comes, it already comes with the straps already you know, tucked underneath. You could take them out and use the buckles, but most likely you're not. So they're really going just pure aesthetics. I would have left them out and just go with the buckle. Why not? Or just go with the side ones. Usually when I do something like this, I have a lock in the center, and that's purely for look as well. So I do make briefcases like that. But it's usually a lock in the center, and you got your straps on the side, or I'll have my Marcelino latches on the side. But just in general on that, it doesn't make sense. Now this leather is lined. You got the chromium tan and 2 pieces of chromium tan leather, but this strap will buckle, will curl, and it comes down past this this mark. When I make my briefcases, I don't like to do that because you'll get this curl, and then when you're putting it down, you're going to get a lot of wear, and then this just starts to flap and get really soft, and I don't know, it just doesn't look good. It looks retarded almost. So I don't like that. What they do nice is they put a piece of, I guess it's pig suede in the loops to give it a bit more structure, and that's good because that definitely helps. So that's good. It looks like they're metal, the stainless steel buckles that they have. At least the stainless steel buckles are good, are top notch, even on the strap. These are very good, very well built, strong. I mean, really, I haven't seen, you don't see many well built snaps out there, and they are definitely using top of the line. I would say these alone probably cost about $5 each. So just in terms of leather pricing, look, chromium tan leather, this piece of leather that I got right now is from an American vendor, so it's in America. I'm not sure where it's tan, but I think I got this for about $2 a square foot. It's really cheap. It's probably the 3rd grade, grade C or TR, tannery run. It's probably the lower grade, so it's around that $2 mark. Look, it's not Horween grade A leather, which that chromium tan leather goes for, I think it's about $7, $8, $9 a square foot. Bridal leather, the English bridal leather that I have goes for about $12, $13 a square foot. And it's not just the square foot. You know, when we buy these sides, like if I bought the side, it's $2 a square foot for the whole side. That includes the belly, which is, for me, it's garbage. It gets thrown away. I don't use it. And the shoulder, which is half of the side, which sometimes it's garbage for me and sometimes it's not. You got to judge. So I'm paying $2 a square foot, and I'm only using about 1/3 of the side. I don't think they do that. I'm almost certain this is from the shoulder or from the belly. And it's not just that. Just looking at the quality of it, it's not even great. I don't think, I don't know, but my guess is it's not grade A. My guess, because you see certain small imperfections. It might be grade B or the lower grade, the TR or grade C or whatever. So even if it's grade A, I don't see this as more grade A as more than $3 a square foot, and the lower grades maybe $1 a square foot. And if it's if this comes from another country, it's probably even cheaper than that. So I'm not sure on that. So let's say it's $2, $3 a square foot. So the leather in all of this, just this chromium tan leather, you're talking about $50 in leather material, right? So also to make this briefcase, I'm estimating in manpower, I don't think these are made one at a time. I think they're made in a factory multiple at a time, maybe a half of a day in manpower. So 6 hours to make just this, and that's probably a long time, maybe even lower, quicker to make it. So if you're paying a craftsman a half of a day, what's that, $100 for the half day? A craftsman probably gets about $200 a day, $250 a day, 3 tops. So let's say another $100 in labor, you got $50 in material, $150. Let's be generous, $200 in labor and materials for this bag, and it's going for about $650, so you do the math. All right, so that's that. All right, so one problem that I have, I got a bunch of problems. Like I said, don't like the leather. The metal is good. The stitching is decent. It's machine stitched. It's okay. It's nothing crazy. The cuts of the leather is also okay. Like I said, it's rustic. It's not cut by hand like I do with a straight edge razor. I think this is probably pressed cut from one of those hydraulic cutters. This handle looks like they put like a piece of plastic in here to keep it straight, and I get that, because if not, if you just had the piece of leather, it would do this on your fingers. It will squish them in, and I get that, and that is a good thing that they do there, to keep the handle nice and straight. I usually build my handles with pieces of thick, stiff leather, just to keep it all leathery. But having a piece of leather in there and then the thicker leather, that's good. It definitely keeps it straight. Now, when you first get it, there's no drop right here. They have this D-ring, which I don't get it. I would have put this like right here, but they put it literally under the handle. I don't think that's a good design, because look at my fingers, just trying to put my fingers in it. And then this is stiff, so this is not bending. The only way, once this softens up, this might bend, the flap might bend upwards, so you'll get your hand in there. But you can't, a regular man's hand cannot get in there without your knuckles rubbing against this piece right here. Look. I mean, the drop would be fine if it was just this, but this piece under the handle is retarded. It should not be there. This piece should be down more. It should not be under the handle, because now when I go to grab it, look at my knuckles. Look. Right? There's no drop. And since this is stiff, this is plastic, this is staying straight, this is not moving. The only thing that's going to move is this is going to go down, but they got a bar underneath it, so it's pretty much going to stay like this. And if you want to put your whole fist in there, there's just no room. Your knuckles are rubbing against this. It's not going to work. It's not going to work, because if you're going to carry it by your hand, it's going to hurt your knuckles all the time rubbing against it. And it's not going to bend that much. It's not going to bow, because there's a bar underneath it, and there's a plastic piece right here. It needs to be rethought out. I would tell them to take this piece. And one thing, to have this piece to do a backpack, I think they're trying to do a backpack thing, is, I don't like that style. I've done it. I just still don't like it even when I do it. But I would put this piece down more. That's how to fix that. Now, aesthetics. They got silver metal. They got a gun metal for the rivets, and then they got copper for what do you call it, to help keep the bar attached to the handle keeps. And then they got gun metal. 3 types of metal. Aesthetically, does not look good to me. I would have kept everything the same color, whether it's all brass or all stainless steel or all gun metal or all copper. So I don't like that part about it. It just does not look good. All right, next. All right, there's a couple things. All right, so you got your cuts, decent stitching leather. You have these pockets right here that are all right. I always thought they don't make sense. What are you going to put in there? A bottle, a water bottle, I guess, right? That's what you're going to put in there. I've done that. I used to do that when I first started out, but I stopped that. I just don't like the way it looks. You know, when you're carrying a bag, it's got to make sense, and it's got to look nice. So just throwing things, just because you could put a bottle there or a pen there or keys there, or rings there, if it doesn't look good, you know, you're walking around in a nice suit and a nice car, and if your leather bag does not make sense, at least to me, it just doesn't make sense. Why carry it? All right. So another thing I don't like all these this metal. This to me makes it look like a kid's, you know, some college kids. Let me put as much metal as I could. It looks cool, type of thing. If you're a doctor, you're walking in it's like you're what's that guy from that movie? It just it looks too rugged. It looks too much. So I would not do that. I don't like the side rings right here, and I can understand why they didn't put them there, because I usually put them on the gusset, but I don't like it. I prefer the rings on the top, on the bar, always. I do put them sometimes. Customers do want them on the gusset, but I tell them if they're not going to use it a lot, put them on the gusset, because eventually it does pull on the gusset. So I try to stay away from that, but I don't put them here. I used to, when I first started making briefcases, I used to put them on here. But what I found was that you're taking up too much gusset space to put that bolt, that rivet in here. So I don't do that, and plus I just don't like the way it looks on the side like that. Aesthetically, it just doesn't look good. These to me are just retarded. I don't like these, and I know they're for backpack. I wouldn't put them down here. I do put them on here. So if I do have a backpack, I'll just put one ring not in the in between, sandwiched in there. I think it's pulling, even though you have a rivet, and I'm going to get into this type of rivet. They're the cheaper rivets. It's still in there, and I don't like that, and I don't like the bag sits on them. It wears on them. It'll scratch even the metal when it bumps against the floor. I put them literally right here, and this one down right about here to make a backpack. I don't know why these are here. I don't know why these are here. Too much metal, too much metal, too much, it just looks retarded, all right? Sorry about that word, but that's the best word I have right now. All right, so it's a big, thick briefcase. Like I said, it's almost like a suitcase. All right, so let's get into the inside and the rivets. I'm going to get into that in a second. So, all right, let's do rivets. I have some of these rivets that I use. Just a quick thing on rivets, right? So here, just a quick thing on rivets. You got different types of rivets. These are the types of rivets that I have. I usually use these two, and I'll show you the difference. So the cheapest rivet you have is this tubular, I think it's called like a Jiffy rivet. It's just a thin piece of metal, and it's just hollow, right? It's a thin piece of hollow metal. The post is hollow, and even the cap itself is just hollow. You could see it. It's just the hollow, thin piece of metal cap. Cheapest. I think these go for pennies each. Maybe a penny or two each, right? They go, and easy to put on, and it's hollow, right? You can hear it. It's just hollow. I use them on my cheaper bags that I have. Not on a briefcase. Not on a briefcase that you want strength. Hell no, definitely not. I use them on things. Maybe a small woman's bag that doesn't need that strength. I would not use them because they're hollow and they're weak. They use them on these. I mean, you could see it when you look inside. You could see that they're the hollow ones, right? There's a hole. So they use them on their keep on the front. They use them to secure this. You know, these hollow. You could see the hollow tube to it. They use them to secure the rings. They use them to secure the side. They use them to secure most of the rings. They even use them to help secure the the handle, right? So they also use a copper rivet. Now this rivet, now just so you know, these are the cheaper ones, the weaker ones. I mean, they have a good strength to them. I'm not saying they're the worst. I don't know if there's anything worse than them, but they're okay. But there are stronger things out there, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to show you that are more expensive. So you're talking about 1-2 cents each. Maybe a penny, maybe even less than a penny when you get into the multiple, and if you buy hundreds of thousands of them. Now, one of the strongest ways to put to secure leather to a metal bar, and that's what they use this one for, is a copper rivet, and that's great. I have them here. It's a copper rivet, solid, strong copper. You just literally have this piece of metal, right? You put another piece of a washer in it, sandwich them together, and you would cut the tip off, round out the tip, and you got probably one of the strongest bonds to leather right there. That's what they do for that. They only use it, I think, from there and there, just for the handle. They're connecting the metal bar that's underneath with a copper rivet. That's great, strong. I don't see it ever separating. It's a nice tight bond, but it looks like crap to me. I don't use these. I don't like the way they look. They don't go with the other metal, and then they're really, really rustic. So even though they give you a good strong bond, I don't use them because they're rustic. They're too rustic. You could see inside. Let me move this. Let me move that. I'm going to get into the other types of rivets that I usually use. Just so you know, you could see they're using it to secure the metal bar underneath with the copper rivet. Here are those jiffy rivets, or those hollow rivets used to secure the other parts of the leather. So what would I do? What do I do? When I secure my handle to a bar like this, I use what's called a Chicago screw. These things and they're permanently set. They screw in, right? They screw in. They're thick pieces of metal, whether it's stainless steel or brass, and they screw in permanently. You put some what's that glue that makes it permanent? I forgot the name of it. And it secures it, and it's the strongest bond. Nothing's breaking it. It's nice. It's thick. It's just as secure as the copper rivet, but it looks a whole lot better, right? And you can match. So you can keep everything stainless steel or brass or whatever, and you got a nice, secure bond with that. How much do these cost? I think a copper rivet is probably a couple of cents as well, just like those hollow tube rivets, maybe a couple of pennies. These are the most expensive, the Chicago screws. I think they're about 75 cents each, maybe $1, depending on the quality. So yeah, so we're dealing with 50 cents compared to pennies that they use for the hollow. This is about 50, 75 to $1 each, right? So, and I usually only use these for the handles, right? Because they are expensive, and they're thick and they're big, and you can't use them. You can, but I wouldn't use them on these other parts. What I use on these other parts, if I was to build something like this, wouldn't be these hollow ones. It would be these rivets that are solid. Now these guys are solid. It's a solid piece of metal. There's this tube opens just maybe a couple of millimeters down, and it splits. So when you here's the front end. So this would literally be this, and it splits open. You know, when we press this into the device, it'll just split. It'll flay out open, and it grips the leather. But then from like here to the bottom, to the cap, is all solid, as opposed to this post, where this post is hollow. This is just hollow from here, just the tip of it, just like this part, this tip is hollow. The rest of it is solid. And the reason why it's hollow is because it flays open, and that's what grips the leather. This is what we use. This is what I use. They're about 10 cents each, 15, something like that. A bit more expensive, but definitely much more stronger than these. I don't know why they would, I know why you're talking about pennies, but, and they're a bit lighter because they're hollow. But on a bag like this, I wouldn't worry about the weight of it. I would worry about the strength, and I would go with these solid tubular rivets, or solid rivets, whatever they're called. Who knows? Who cares? All right, so that's on the rivets. The inside, they line this briefcase with pig suede. I've used pig suede before. I don't like it. I think it's really thin. You could see the hair cells in the suede. If you look close, you could see the hair cells in the suede. I don't like it because of that, the hair cells. It just means that the fibers are not as tight as opposed to, this is calf suede, Italian calf suede specifically. It's really tight fiber. It's a bit thicker. It's maybe double the thickness of this. The feel is similar. They're both suede, but a whole lot more softer and more luxurious. This is what I line. When I line with suede, I use this. Pig suede is maybe $1 a square foot, if that. You could probably get it cheaper. This stuff is about $10 a square foot. And specifically there's different forms of cow suede. This is Italian calf suede. They make it differently from those cow splits that you get in a lot of the American tanneries or whatever other tanneries. This Italian calf suede is probably the most luxurious around, and it's expensive. I mean, one side costs about $150 for that. But you could see it's a bit thicker, and you don't see the hair cells. You don't see the fibers on that. You could see that the hair cells. Look closely, and it's just thin. Look how thin that pig suede is compared to this. Probably double the size. The Italian calf suede is probably double the size. So yeah, I line with Italian calf suede. Sometimes I'll do it with the cow splits, which is good as well. That's even a little bit thicker and stronger, but I don't do pig suede. It's too cheap. All right, so another thing I don't like about chromium tan leather and lining specifically, if I was to do chromium tan leather, I wouldn't line it like they do here, where they glue the pig suede to the leather. What is going to happen is this edge right here, since you have the two pieces of leather, this edge, it is stitched maybe 2-3 millimeters from the edge, right? But this is going to fray open, and it just makes it look a whole lot more rugged. This is better because it's tight together, and it's the it's the pieces of chromium tan leather together. It'll keep it tight. This might open up a little bit, but this flap, since the edges are not finished, what I do with my suede line briefcases, so you know, I'll paint them and I'll coat it with like a latex edge paint. That keeps these two pieces of leather from separating and fraying and just looking just more messier, more ruggedy. I don't like that, but they do two stitching lines, which is good. It helps, I guess. It's not really needed, but so yeah. So that's the pig suede. They line this with pig suede. They don't line the gussets with pig suede. I line my gussets when I do my gussets. I don't know why they don't. I guess they want to keep it looser, but still, I would have lined the gussets. They line the panels. They don't line the pockets. They stitch the pockets. I noticed they also stitch the back pocket, which is not needed because it makes it look like, usually when we have a stitching, it's to keep pieces of leather together. They literally just have this piece of leather with no lining. I'll put a lining on my newspaper pocket. It keeps it much more stiffer. This will be looser and even stretch out in time, just because they just use this chromium piece of leather. And yeah, they don't line the pockets, and they just stitch the panels. They don't stitch the gussets, and they give you a small key ring, which is cool. You got your, same thing with the pockets. They stitch the edges of the pockets, but they don't line the pockets. I normally line my pockets. It depends on the type of pocket. So yeah, there's another thing. So you have your suede lining and your edges. This edge will fray. So when you look in here, as the wear starts to happen, this might come out. Depends on how good they glued it, but it might start to fray, and you'll see these two pieces of leather just separated right there. It just doesn't look nice, in my opinion. All right, so look, that's my review on this briefcase, man. Like I said, for $700, it's up there, $650. If you like leather, if you're a collector, definitely this is a great piece of collector. They're a great brand, good quality. The leather is good for the price that you're getting it. If I was to make this briefcase out of Vedstand leather, this thing would cost, sure, would be built a whole lot differently, hand stitched, and different suede and different Vedstand bridal leather. But if I was to use bridal leather, and I do big briefcases like 4-inch gussets like this, you're talking about $2,000-$3,000 for me. So for the price, this is a good price. But where are you going to carry it? If you're a lawyer, you're gonna bring this into the office. So if you need a briefcase for $700, I get a Coach briefcase. They're about $500, much more refined. And then I'd find a leather craftsman, like I said, whoever. Just find someone you can deal with directly, one-on-one, and get them to make you a good quality art piece, because that's what these guys are. But if you're not there, if you're somewhere saving up for a $2,000 briefcase, but you want something, I would go with something like this. Sure, I would. Or I would go with, I mean, they back it up by their warranty. So if these rivets do break, I'm assuming they will replace them. So that's good in that. So they do back it up. And yeah, I would have no problem. I would have a problem because I know how this is built, and I wouldn't spend $700 on it, because I can build one myself that would be a whole lot better, even with the chromium tan leather. But for $600-$700, look, if you got that, if $600-$700 doesn't mean a lot to you, yeah, sure, it's fine. If $600-$700 means a lot to you, I'd hang out. I'd go get one of those staple briefcases for like $50. Carry that for a while. Once $600-$700 doesn't mean a lot to you, I jump on a handmade, real, good quality briefcase made by the craftsman. Go find a craftsman and deal with them. That's the best quality you're going to get. Don't find the middleman or the company. Deal with a leather craftsman. There are a lot in America. There are a lot in England. Look online and build a connection with them and tell them what you want, how you want it, understand the materials that are being used. That is your best way to go. If you're going to start getting into that $500, $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,000 briefcase, that's the best way to go. So I hope this review helped. Like I said, I have no problem with the Saddleback as a brand. They are great. They seem like a great brand. They seem cool. But that's my honest opinion on this briefcase. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if it was helpful. I like to have conversations, honest, good conversations, not stupid conversations. Let me know in the comments what you think. Am I wrong? Am I right? and that's how I love talking about this subject. So as long as it doesn't get stupid, let's talk about it. I'll see you next time. I don't know what I'm going to review next. If you guys have any ideas on what to review, if you have a briefcase you want to send me, so I'll review it. Got no problem. I'll do that. Just you could send it. Make sure it has a self-addressed stamped envelope to go back. I'll review it. I'll throw it online. I'll tell you my thoughts, and then I'll ship it back to you. I've done that privately for customers, have sent me their bags, or they've brought them to me, asking me what I think. Should we repair it? Should we replace it? Can I do something like that? A lot of times customers will bring me their, or send me their favorite briefcase they got 20 years ago. Can you remake it? Normally I don't. I like to stick to my own style. I really don't like to stick to anyone else's style. But, all right, so tell me what you think. See ya.